Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Jide Iyanewura. What I want to share with you is my experience of being on board AirPeace's inaugural flight from Gatwick to from Gatwick Airport in London to Lagos Murtala Mohammed Airport on the 30th of March, 2024. So I'd originally planned on traveling with BA, bought a ticket, which was a flexible ticket, but I decided to sort of support AirPeace instead. So I bought an AirPeace ticket and waited for the inaugural flight on the 30th of March. I mean, this is my boarding pass, just so that you're aware. I mean, you can see it's a 10:25 flight, and it was the 30th of March, 2024. Everything. So I'm going to try and break this down into three different areas. One is the pre-boarding arrangements, the ground operations before we boarded. The second will be the actual experience on the flight, and the third will be when we landed at Murtala Mohammed International Airport. The pre-boarding operation for me felt like the airport authorities, the airport operations are designed for it to look like AirPeace was inefficient. People don't normally think or know that the grounds operations are largely out of the hands of the airline operators or operations. Those are in the hands of the airport operators. So in this case, Gatwick Airport, and I think they also had a third-party baggage handling company. From when I arrived at the airport at about 7:30, I noticed that there was absolutely no sign that pointed you to the direction of where AirPeace was checking in, none whatsoever. That was wrong. That was the first alarm bell. Secondly, where they went and put AirPeace was they tucked them at the back of the corner somewhere. Second alarm bell. The third thing, the check-in desk that they put there, the belt that sort of moved the luggage from the check-in operator to the baggage handlers was not working. Now, for an inaugural flight of an air operation, these are things that you expect the airport operators to have worked very carefully with the airline to make sure it was seamless. They obviously gave their assurances, but obviously failed. But you see, as an outsider, if you stood there, what came to your mind was you were seeing AirPeace, not Gatwick operations. The other thing also was that I realized that the number of desks that they had available for us to check in was very limited. Even worse was the fact that the staff that they had behind those desks were rookies. I think they probably just hired them and trained them very, very hard, very, very quickly, because they were asking each other, how do I do this? How do I do, excess luggage? How do I pay for this? And I just stood there. I tried to stand aside as an operations person myself to really take it all in and see how all of this was likely to affect the brand of AirPeace in the minds of the passengers that were trying to experience this sort of beautiful operation. Anyways, I checked in. Mine was absolutely seamless. Everything went very, very well. I then decided that I was going to have a third. So I had some hand luggage, luggage I decided to check in. So I bought a small suitcase again. I put them in there and decided to have a third baggage check, which was supposed to cost $150 to check in. When I got to the AirPeace desk, they said it was $150. They tagged it. They gave me a ticket to go and pay at the desk of these third-party luggage operators. I think they're called Swift. I can't remember the name. I think it's Swift Flight or whatever the name of the baggage handlers were. When I got there, they said it was £170, and I thought, how can you translate $150 to 170 pounds. Because normally £150 is $150 is meant to be 130 something pounds, because the sterling was stronger than the dollar. They charged Fariga, they said no, that's it. Okay, so a lady stepped forward and she introduced herself to me as an executive director of the airline. Young, very vibrant lady, and she said her name was Nena. She offered to pay the cost, and I said, no, you don't do that. This is not about the money, it's about the principle that I can see this third-party company trying to frustrate the efforts of AirPeace. I think it was at that point that she told me that her name was Nena and that her surname was Onyema. So I thought, okay. And she said, oh, that she's the daughter of the chairman of AirPeace. I have to say, she was very professional, she was very kind, and she obviously knows her onions. When it comes to customer services and operations, she did the right thing. She did everything by the books. I also met another lady called Tony Olajide. She's the chief operating officer on ground. These ladies did all that they could do, all that in textbook terms was needed to be done to make that flight leave the grounds on time. But you know what? I stood there and I laughed because I saw how they had planned beforehand to really frustrate those efforts. Do you know that it was the night before the check-in that they communicated to AirPeace that they were changing the check-in desk, and they changed it from a fully operational one to one that didn't have an operational conveyor belt. I mean, let's think about this. AirPeace did everything right. Their communications was bang on. They informed us 3 days before, 2 days before, on the day itself, that they were going to open the check-in desk at 7:40. They were looking to close the check-in desk at 9:40, and they were looking for the flight to leave and to take off on time. They did everything by the books. But let's remember that Arik had tried this route before, and they were frustrated and died. Medview had tried this route before, frustrated and died. Bellevue, frustrated and died. Do you know why they don't want this route to succeed for a Nigerian airline operator? It is very lucrative. It's a 6-hour flight comparative to London, New York. London, New York, economy, 350, 400 pounds. London, Lagos, the minimum you're going to get is about 800-900 pounds. Low season. High season, I think some people were, during this Easter period, some people were finding BA and Virgin at almost 3,000 pounds for economy delight. Premium was touching, I think premium was touching about 3,500. Don't even go to the upper class. 6,000-7,000 pounds. The same 6-hour flight, London to New York, would be 300-400 pounds for economy, maybe about 800 pounds for premium, and then maybe about 1,500, maybe 2,000 pounds at the max for business class maximum. So you can see how lucrative this route is. But the only two British airlines plowing that route from Lagos to London, British Airways and Virgin Atlantic. The British government and those two companies will do everything within their power to truncate the efforts of any Nigerian airline trying to break into that market. So my advice to Chief Onyema and his operations crew is that they should not see this as a business-to-business fight. This is a government-to-government fight. It's a British government establishment versus the Nigerian government establishment fight. Chief Onyema needs, in addition to the Minister of Aviation, and I'm not saying he's not doing what he's supposed to do, I'm sure he is, but he needs two other ministers behind him. He needs the Minister for Trade, Industry, Trade and Investment, and he needs the Minister for Foreign Affairs besides him. The trade part of the business, the minister needs to let the British know what the consequences will be if they continue to do what they're doing. For the foreign side of it, the airline business is not just about the trade, it's also a diplomatic business as well. there's a very strong element of diplomacy in airline operations. When you talk about the BASA agreements and all those are foreign related, foreign affairs related discussions. So these two ministers, together with the Minister for Aviation, hold the key to unlocking access to the UK airspace for Nigerian operators. They have to stand behind Alex Onyema. They have to stand beside AirPeace to make this work. Again, as I said, everybody on the plane, there was a guy, the captain, Captain Lawrence Tochukwu. He walked the length and the breadth of the plane, did fantastically well, spoke to everybody. It felt like home. I really like the fact that the entire crew was all Nigerian. The co-pilot was a guy called David Olateru. They spoke pidgin English. It was beautiful. There was a bit of turbulence on the route. These guys handled it brilliantly, effortlessly. Takeoff, landing, beautiful. So we have to help AirPeace succeed and not see them go the same route, the same way as Arik or Bellevue and Medview. The AirPeace has to succeed. The Nigerians in diaspora, particularly Nigerians in the UK, we have a role to play. If you have to write to your MPs, write to them. Let them know that there are discriminatory practices at Gatwick Airport. Point to the fact that they are deliberate, they are intentional in their effort to see and bring down a Nigerian airline operator at Gatwick. If you don't do it, British Airways and Virgin will bring the prices down for a while, so as to get rid of AirPeace. And once AirPeace is gone, they go back. This time, charge you maybe triple. And all those Ileya and Easter periods trips that you would normally make, you can't make them anymore. So literally, it's in our own interest to make sure that we see AirPeace succeed. Please, let's do that. Let's stand behind one of ours. Now, talking about my experience on the plane, I can only describe it as awesome. I mean, the food was absolutely beautiful. I had real goat meat pepper soup as starters, and when I did talk about starters, the portions were good, man. Very, very tasty, big chunky meats and stuff. When we say the goat meat itself, they challenge you, say make you get stuck in. Not like the ones you get on the British Airways and Virgin flights. Trust me, good rounded portions. You had a choice of jollof fries with chicken. We had, and then before we landed, there was skewered prawns, and it was just beautiful. It was just really lovely. The plane itself was very clean. It was very bright, very spacious, and really, really good and decent sizes in terms of the space, the seats. The experience was excellent. The hosts and hostesses were perfect. They attended to every single one of your needs. Sometimes you press to request assistance. You press the assistance button on a BA or Virgin flight. It take them sometimes 5 minutes to even get to you. These guys were very prompt. So the only thing I can ask them to do is please maintain that level of service. I would give them an 8 over 10 in terms of service. Really, really first class. They did very, very well. Well done.